This is the story of a poor woman named Anna and a wealthy man named David. One was hungry and cold. The other had everything money could buy. But on one rainy morning in the heart of the city, their lives crossed in a way no one could have predicted. And what happened after will move you, break you, and heal you all at once. The streets were wet. Water splashed as cars rushed past in long lines of traffic. The morning air was heavy with the smell of rain-soaked dust, mixed with exhaust fumes rising from engines stuck on the crowded road. Umbrellas moved like small domes above the heads of hurried workers, each person shielding themselves from the drizzle. But at one corner of the road, where the puddles collected and the noise of the city seemed louder, stood Anna. Her hair clung wet to her face, her clothes were drenched, and in her arms, she held her baby. The little girl, Grace, whimpered softly. The thin blanket wrapped around her was soaked through. Grace's lips trembled, her tiny fingers pressed against her mother's chest as if searching for warmth that simply wasn't there. Anna adjusted her grip, holding the baby closer, whispering words she didn't believe but still forced out of her mouth. "Don't cry, my child. Don't cry. Mommy will find something for you today. No umbrella, no jacket, no home to return to, only the rain, the cold, and the sound of her baby's weak cry cutting through the traffic." Anna had been standing there since dawn. Her slippers, once white, were now almost black with mud. The sole of one had torn at the heel, making her limp slightly when she moved. Her dress clung to her body, heavy with water. Her stomach rumbled, but she ignored it. Hunger wasn't new to her. What broke her heart was Grace's hunger. She had not eaten since the previous afternoon. The night before, they had curled up in a corner of an unfinished building, using old clothes as bedding. Grace had cried herself to sleep, her small stomach empty, her little body shivering. Anna had stayed awake most of the night, staring at the ceiling, whispering prayers she was no longer sure God was hearing. Now, in the morning rain, she stretched out her free hand. Her voice was low, almost broken. "Please. Just a little help. Some food for my baby. Please." People passed by without slowing down. Some glanced at her, eyes filled with pity, but their feet kept moving. Others turned away completely, pretending not to see. Two men stood nearby under the shelter of a shop. They whispered, not realizing Anna could hear. "Another one of those women," one said, his voice filled with doubt. "They fake it. Some even rent a baby to beg." The other chuckled bitterly. "Yes. She'll get more money like this. Holding a child makes people feel sorry faster." Anna closed her eyes for a moment, swallowing the lump in her throat. She didn't bother to defend herself. The rain washed their words over her like it washed over her skin. She bent her head, whispering to Grace instead. "Don't worry, my baby. Today we will find food. Today someone will see us." Grace whimpered again, her lips dry, her face pale from the cold. Anna rocked her gently, but her own arms were stiff, her body weak. Still she stood. Still she begged. Inside a sleek black car parked a short distance away, David leaned back against the leather seat. The raindrops slid down the tinted window beside him as his driver inched through traffic. David was a man everyone in the business world knew. He owned companies that stretched across the country: construction, real estate, trade. His name commanded respect. His suits were tailored, his shoes polished. Wherever he went, people looked twice. This morning, he was heading to one of the most important meetings of his career. Foreign investors had flown in, men who could multiply his wealth and expand his empire even further. Every minute counted. He had rehearsed his talking points. His team was already waiting at the office. But as his car crawled forward in traffic, something outside the window caught his eye. At first, he thought it was just another pedestrian waiting in the rain. But then he noticed the baby. A child, soaked, clinging to its mother. He leaned forward, wiping the mist off the glass with his sleeve to see better. The woman wasn't shouting. She wasn't waving her arms around for attention. She just stood, tired, broken, stretching out her hand. David's chest tightened. There was something about the way she held that baby, as though the child was the last treasure she had left in the world. For a moment, He sat frozen. The voice of responsibility whispered in his head, "You're late. The investors are waiting. This is not your problem." But another voice pushed harder. "This is not just a beggar. This is desperation. Real pain." "Stop the car," David said firmly. The driver glanced back, surprised. "Sir, I said stop." The car pulled over. Without hesitation, David opened the door and stepped into the rain. His polished shoes splashed into a puddle. His suit began to soak at the shoulders, but he didn't care. Anna didn't notice him at first. She was rocking Grace, whispering prayers under her breath. Then suddenly, a tall man stood in front of her. She looked up quickly, startled. David's face was calm but serious. His eyes, though sharp, held kindness. "Good morning," he said gently. Anna swallowed, unsure how to respond. She only nodded. He looked at the baby. "What's her name?" "Grace," Anna whispered, her voice thin. David stepped closer, lowering his gaze to the child. Grace's lips were trembling, her tiny chest rising and falling with weak cries. "Has she eaten?" he asked. Anna shook her head. "No, sir. Not since yesterday." David's eyes lifted to her wet dress, her shaking hands. "And you?" Anna looked down. "No, sir. But it's fine. I just want food for my baby." Silence hung in the air for a moment, broken only by the noise of traffic. Then David extended his hand slightly. "Come with me." Anna froze. Her mind spun. She had never spoken to a rich man before, never been invited anywhere by one. Fear crept in, but when she looked at his eyes, she saw no threat. Only calm. Only sincerity. She looked at Grace. The child's face was pale, her fingers cold. Anna took a shaky breath, then nodded. The driver opened the back door. Anna stepped in carefully, holding Grace close. She sat at the very edge of the seat, her back stiff, afraid to lean against the leather. The driver glanced at her through the mirror, but said nothing. His eyes carried questions, but his lips stayed shut. David sat beside her, his mind heavy with thoughts. He reached for a towel folded neatly on the seat and handed it over. "Dry her," he said softly. Anna took it quickly. "Thank you, sir." Her hands trembled as she wiped Grace's face, then wrapped the towel around her. The car moved again. The silence was thick, but it wasn't empty. David kept glancing at her, at the baby, at the way she ignored her own soaked hair, her own trembling body, focusing only on her child. Minutes later, David told the driver to stop at a small restaurant by the roadside. Without caring about the curious stares, he led Anna and Grace inside. The smell of cooked rice and fried plantain filled the air. Anna's stomach twisted painfully. She sat down, still clutching Grace. "Bring hot rice, fried plantain, chicken," David told the waiter. "And warm milk for the baby." When the food arrived, Anna's eyes widened. She looked at David. "Can I eat here, sir?" she asked softly, almost afraid. "Yes," David said simply. "Eat." Anna bowed her head, her lips trembling. She placed Grace on her lap, holding the bottle of warm milk to her lips. Grace sucked eagerly, her tiny hands gripping her mother's finger. Only after the baby had drunk her fill did Anna touch the plate. She took the first spoon slowly, cautiously, as though afraid it might disappear. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she chewed. Each bite felt like a miracle. David didn't speak. He watched silently as she ate, his jaw tight, his thoughts racing. When Anna finished, she wiped her mouth with the back of her hand and looked at him. "Thank you, sir. God bless you." David leaned forward slightly. "Tell me, what happened? How did you end up here?" Anna looked down at Grace, now dozing softly in her lap. She kissed her daughter's forehead before speaking. "I have no one," she began quietly. "My parents died when I was little. I grew up in an orphanage. Life was hard. I worked in houses, washing, cleaning, cooking, anything to survive. Then one day, I met Mark. He was a taxi driver. He was kind. We fell in love." Her voice faltered, but she continued. After a year, I found out I was pregnant. I was scared, but when I told Mark, he smiled. He said he would marry me, but first he needed to go home to his family. He said it was their tradition. He must tell them before bringing his fiancée. She paused, her lips trembling. That was the last time I saw him. He promised to come back in 1 week. But he never returned. His number stopped going through. I waited. I cried. I begged his friends, but no one gave me answers. Her hands shook as she adjusted Grace's blanket. I lost the house I was staying in. No one wanted to give me work with my belly growing. I started sleeping on the streets. I begged for food. And now, her voice broke. Now Grace is all I have. David's chest felt heavy. He looked at Grace, then back at Anna. The weight of her words hung in the air. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a bundle of notes, and placed it on the table. Then he took out his card and slid it across to her. "Take this," he said. "It will help you and your baby for now. After my meeting today, call me. I will take you to a safe place." Anna's eyes widened. Her hands trembled as she picked up the card. She nodded quickly. "Thank you, sir. God bless you." She tucked the card carefully into Grace's tiny pocket, patting it to make sure it was secure. She held her daughter close, tears filling her eyes again. But as they stood to leave, neither of them noticed the small slip. The card, damp from her fingers, slid quietly out of Grace's clothes and fell to the wet ground outside the restaurant. Anna walked away holding Grace tightly, thinking hope had finally arrived. David left for his meeting, glancing at his watch, already late but strangely calm. Neither of them knew what had just happened. The card was gone, and what happens next will change everything. By the time David reached his office in Victoria Island, the rain had slowed, and the clouds were beginning to thin. His driver pulled up outside the tall glass building where his team and the foreign investors were waiting. But even as he stepped inside the lobby, briefcase in hand, David's mind wasn't on business. He had left Anna and her baby at that small roadside restaurant. He had given her food, money, and most importantly, his card. He had told her to call him after his meeting, and he meant it. He wanted to take her to a safe place. The meeting stretched long. Numbers, presentations, polite handshakes. On the surface, David was calm and focused. But beneath the surface, his thoughts kept slipping back to the drenched woman and her fragile baby. When the investors finally left, smiling and satisfied, David reached for his phone. He glanced at the screen. No missed calls. He frowned, checked again. Still nothing. Strange, he muttered. He had expected Anna to call the moment she could. Wasn't she desperate enough? An uneasy feeling grew in his chest. He waited another hour, pretending to catch up on work, but every time he checked, the phone remained silent. Finally, he decided to stop pretending. He stood up, buttoned his jacket, and told his driver to return to the same restaurant. When they arrived, David walked straight to the table where Anna had sat. He looked around, but she was gone. His eyes fell to the floor. There, lying damp against the tiles near the door, was the card he had given her. He bent down and picked it up. The edges were soft from the rain, the writing smudged but still clear. His chest tightened. "Did she throw it away?" he whispered. His jaw clenched. Or did it fall without her knowing? Two voices battled inside him. One said she had tricked him, just another beggar playing with pity. The other reminded him of the way she had fed her baby before touching her own food, the way her tears had rolled silently as she chewed. He slipped the wet card into his pocket, but his mind was far from at rest. Meanwhile, Anna had boarded a Danfo bus back toward the busy mainland. She was still clutching the money David had given her, thinking of how she would buy food for the next few days. But when she reached for the card, her hand froze. The pocket where she had tucked it was empty. Her heart jumped. She checked again, searching every fold of Grace's tiny clothes. Nothing. She searched her own wrapper, shaking it out in panic. Still nothing. Her breath came fast, her chest heavy. No, no, this can't be. Grace stirred against her shoulder, but Anna barely noticed. She looked around the bus, her eyes wild. Maybe it had fallen on the seat? Maybe someone had picked it? But the bus was already full of strangers, each looking away, uninterested in her quiet panic. By the time the bus reached her stop, Anna's face was wet with fresh tears. She stepped down, holding Grace tight, whispering apologies. "I lost it. I lost the only chance we had." Her legs shook, but she forced herself to move quickly. She remembered the restaurant, the table, the exact spot where she had sat. Maybe, just maybe, the card was still there. She flagged another bus heading back toward the island. The ride was long, crowded, hot, but she didn't care. Every stop felt like it was stealing her chance away. When she finally reached the restaurant, her heart pounded in her ears. She pushed the door open, scanning the floor, the tables. But David was already gone. The card too. Her chest broke open. She sank into a chair, rocking Grace as tears streamed down her face. God, why? Why give me hope only to take it away again? The waiter glanced at her, but said nothing. She buried her face in Grace's hair, sobbing quietly. After a while, she wiped her cheeks and whispered fiercely, "I'll wait. I'll wait where he first saw me. If he passes again, I will be there." It was the only hope she had left. The next morning, Lagos woke up in its usual chaos. Car horns blared, buses fought for space on crowded roads, and the city pulsed with energy. But in David's mansion in Ikoyi, the atmosphere was different. Laughter filled the air, music played softly, and the aroma of jollof rice, fried plantain, and grilled chicken wafted from the kitchen. David's younger brother, John, had just returned from London after more than 10 years abroad. He had left as a struggling student but now returned as a successful man, tall and confident, carrying himself with the ease of someone who had seen the world. David had prepared a feast. Friends gathered in the living room, drinks in hand, celebrating John's return. Smiles, laughter, stories. The house was alive with joy. But outside, at the roadside where the puddles were still drying from the night rain, Anna stood once again. Grace was tied to her back, her tiny head resting against her mother's shoulder. Anna's eyes searched every black SUV that passed. In one world, there was abundance, clinking glasses, polished floors, and loud laughter. In the other, there was hunger, waiting, and silent prayer. That afternoon, David's driver was sent to pick up a few more guests. As he steered through the busy streets, his eyes fell on a familiar sight. By the roadside, near the same corner where it had all begun, stood Anna. The baby was still tied to her back. Her face looked thinner, her eyes red with exhaustion, but she was there. She hadn't given up. The driver's hands tightened on the steering wheel. He knew exactly who she was. When he returned to the mansion, he waited until the noise had quieted slightly. Then, in a low voice, he approached David. "Sir," he said carefully, "I saw her." David looked up from his drink. "Who?" "The woman from the other day. The one with the baby. She's still standing at the same place." David's expression hardened. His mind went back to the wet card he had found on the restaurant floor. His chest tightened with doubt. "Does she really want help?" he murmured. Then he remembered the rain, the baby's dry lips, the way Anna had fed Grace first. His doubts clashed with the memory of her suffering. Finally, he spoke. "Go back. If she's still there, ask her why she didn't call me. If her answer makes sense, and if her face shows she truly needs help, bring her to me." The driver nodded. "Yes, sir." The sun was hot when the red SUV pulled over beside Anna. She turned quickly, eyes wide, clutching Grace. The window rolled down. It was David's driver. Her knees almost gave way. "Madam," he said gently, stepping out. Anna's eyes filled with tears. She rushed forward, speaking quickly, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry. I lost the card he gave me. I looked everywhere. In the bus, at the restaurant. I even went back, but it was gone." The driver studied her face. There was no trickery there, no act. Just a tired woman, her baby clinging to her back, her eyes swollen from nights of silent crying. "Please," she whispered, "tell him I didn't forget. I didn't throw it away. I lost it." The driver nodded slowly. "Follow me." He opened the back door. Anna climbed in carefully, holding Grace tight. The ride to David's mansion felt like a dream. She stared out at the tall buildings, the busy roads, whispering thanks under her breath. When they arrived, the driver led her inside. The mansion was filled with voices and laughter, but the moment David saw her, the room went quiet. He stood slowly, his eyes locked on hers. Anna's legs shook. She dropped to her knees, still holding Grace. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. "I am sorry." David stepped forward quickly, lifting her by the arms. "No, don't do that," he said gently. The guests exchanged glances but said nothing. David led her away from the crowd, down a quiet hallway, and into a guest room. The room was bright, clean, smelling faintly of lavender. A bed with fresh sheets stood ready. "Take a proper bath," David said softly. "You and your baby can rest here." Anna's lips parted, but no words came. She only nodded, tears filling her eyes. David turned to the chef. "Make sure she eats. Don't delay." The chef nodded quickly and hurried off. For the first time in months, Anna sat on a clean bed, Grace asleep on her chest. She pressed her hand against her daughter's back, whispering, "We are safe, my baby. We are safe." That evening, after the guests had left and the mansion was quiet, David sat with Anna in the living room. He looked at her seriously. "I can't change your past," he said. "But I can help your future. Think carefully. Is there something you want to do? Something you are good at? Something you want to learn?" Anna's breath caught. Her hands shook as she looked down at Grace, then back at David. The story paused there, the air heavy with possibility. Because what Anna said next, and what David would decide, would change her life forever. Morning light came through the curtains of the guest room in David's Ikoyi mansion. The rain from the day before had passed. The sky was clear. The city noise was already building outside the estate walls, but inside the house it felt calm. Anna woke before Grace. She watched her daughter sleep on the clean sheets, cheeks full and warm for the first time in weeks. She brushed a curl from Grace's forehead and whispered, "You're safe." There was a soft knock. A maid stepped in with a tray. Bread, eggs, tea, a bowl of pap for the baby. "Good morning, madam," she said. "Olga asked us to serve you as soon as you wake." Anna sat up, surprised. She thanked the maid and fed Grace before touching her own food. The taste of warm eggs and tea steadied her. The fear that had lived in her chest began to loosen. Later, David came to the door. He kept his voice gentle. "I hope you slept well." "I did, sir," Anna said. "Thank you. My daughter slept like she has never slept." "Good," he nodded. "Get ready. We are going out." She blinked. "Out?" "Yes. You and Grace need a few things." An hour later, they were on the road. The driver took them across the bridge, past the heavy traffic moving toward the island. Street hawkers weaved through cars selling plantain chips and pure water. Kiki riders buzzed past. A bus conductor shouted his route with a tired voice. Lagos was awake, loud and full, but the car felt like a quiet bubble. They stopped first at a large clothing store in Six. The floors were polished. The air was cool. A sales attendant walked up fast when she saw David. "Good morning, sir." She looked at Anna, then at Grace in her arms. "How can I help you?" "Help her pick what she needs," David said. "For herself and for the baby. Good clothes. Enough for every day of the week." Anna stared at him. "Sir, I don't know what to pick." "Start simple," he said. "Comfortable dresses. A sweater. Good slippers. For Grace, warm onesies, socks, a proper baby blanket." The attendant smiled and began to bring options. At first, Anna only touched them gently, unsure. She had never been in a store like this as a customer. She looked at prices and tried to put items back. David noticed and shook his head. "Choose without fear," he said calmly. "You won't owe me anything for needing basic things." So she tried. A soft cotton dress in navy. a pale green one that reminded her of peace. A sweater that felt warm in her hands. She picked a small yellow dress for Grace, tiny socks with a bear stitched on them, and a thick blanket that felt like a hug. When the attendant folded everything into bags, Anna stood still, holding Grace with both arms, eyes wet. "Thank you," she said. "I don't have words." "Save your words," David replied. "You'll need your strength for what comes next." They left the store and walked into a phone shop nearby. Display tables held sleek models under bright light. A salesman greeted David by name. "Good morning, sir. How are you today?" "I'm well," David said. "We need a simple, strong phone. Not complicated. Clear camera. Good battery." The salesman brought a mid-range model. "This one is reliable, sir. Dual SIM, long battery, easy to use." David nodded. He turned to Anna. "We'll register the SIM with your name. I'll also help you retrieve your old number in case anyone tries to reach you." Anna held the phone like it was a fragile glass. "I have not held a new phone in years," she said. "Are you sure?" "Yes," he said. "You will need people to reach you for work. You will need to reach doctors. You will need to reach your suppliers. A phone is not luxury. It is a tool." They set it up together. They saved important numbers. David showed her the basics. How to answer calls, how to send a message, how to use the flashlight. She nodded, paying attention to every step. Before they left, he bought a small power bank. "In Lagos, you always need backup," he said. She smiled for the first time in a long time. It was small, almost shy, but it was real. By afternoon, they were back in Ikoyi. David's younger brother, John, had arrived from the gym and was sitting in the living room when they walked in. He stood when he saw them, his expression open and warm. He had met Anna briefly the previous night, but now he looked at her fully, as if measuring what she had been through and what might be possible next. "Welcome," John said. "How are you feeling today?" "Better," Anna said softly. "Thank you." John looked at David, then back at Anna. "Can we go for a short drive? There's somewhere I want to show you." They got back into the car. The driver pulled out of the compound and moved through the afternoon traffic. Hawkers tapped the window with belts and phone chargers. A boy ran barefoot between cars. In the distance, the lagoon stretched gray and still. After 30 minutes, they turned into a quiet neighborhood on the mainland, an area with new apartment blocks and small shops. The car stopped in front of a clean, modest building painted cream and white. There were flowers at the entrance. The compound was tidy. Children's voices drifted from a nearby balcony. John stepped out first. He walked up to a door on the second floor and turned to face Anna. "When I heard your story," he said, "I thought about our mother. She raised us alone. She did everything with nothing. I remember her crying and pretending she wasn't crying. We owe her a life of kindness to others." Anna listened without speaking. She held Grace close and waited. John took a small key from his pocket. "This apartment is for you," he said simply. Anna's knees weakened. She grabbed the rail and then let herself sink to the step, still holding Grace as if the ground might open under her. She cried quietly at first, then the sound broke free. It wasn't loud. It was deep. It was relief and fear leaving her body at the same time. "I don't deserve this," she said between breaths. "You deserve safety," John replied. "You deserve dignity. You deserve a door you can lock and a bed you can make." He opened the door. They stepped into a small sitting room with a sofa, a rug, a standing fan, and curtains that let in soft light. There was a tidy kitchen with cabinets and a cooker, a bedroom with a fur mattress and clean sheets, and a bathroom stocked with soap and towels. There was a small cot for Grace beside the bed. Someone had thought of the baby. Someone had prepared this with care. Anna touched the edge of the cot. Her hands trembled. "Who did this?" she asked. "Family and friends," John said. "People who know what it means to help without noise." She turned, unable to stop the tears. "Thank you," she whispered. "God bless you. I cannot say more." "There is more," John said. He looked at David, Then back at Anna. "We are setting up a small shop for you. Not a charity you watch from the corner. A business you will grow with guidance. Near here at the next street. It will sell everyday items people always need: rice, beans, gari, oil, diapers, soap, onions, tomatoes, phone cards, bottled water. We'll hire a manager to train you for a few months. You'll learn bookkeeping. You'll learn how to check stock. You'll learn what to buy more of and what to stop buying. You'll be the supervisor from day one." Anna's breath caught. She looked down at Grace. The baby's hand opened and closed in sleep, fingers relaxed at last. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "I will not waste this chance." "Good," John said. "That is all we want to hear." They left the apartment to see the shop. It sat on a busy corner with steady foot traffic, close to bus stops, a tailor, a pharmacy, and a hair salon. The shutters were up. Inside, carpenters had finished the shelves. A signboard leaned against the wall, wrapped in plastic. When the wrapper came off, the name showed in clear letters: Grace Corner. Anna covered her mouth with her palm. "You used my daughter's name." "Yes," David said. "So you never forget why you're doing this." They walked the aisles. The manager, a calm woman in her 40s named Mrs. Bello, greeted Anna with a firm handshake. "Welcome," she said. "I will be with you for the first 3 months. We'll work together, morning to evening. You'll learn everything. Nothing is above you. Nothing is beneath you. We keep records. We treat customers well. We count stock. We check expiration dates. We don't cheat. We don't allow anyone to cheat us." "I'm ready," Anna said. She meant it. They returned to the apartment as evening approached. The air cooled. The street outside softened with the sound of neighbors greeting each other, a generator humming in the distance, a baby crying 2 doors down. Inside, the standing fan turned slowly. Grace woke, stretched, and reached for her mother's face. Anna smiled and kissed her fingers. In the space of 1 day, their lives had moved from a roadside in the rain to a room with light and clean sheets. It felt unreal, but it was real. It was happening. It was hers. 2 weeks passed. The apartment found their rhythm. Anna learned simple routines: morning cleaning, breakfast, short bus ride to the shop, training with Mrs. Bello, afternoon stock checks, evening sales journaling. She wrote figures on lined paper with neat strokes. She learned to use a simple calculator well. She learned to speak to wholesalers on the phone and to ask for better prices without fear. Grace slept better. Her cheeks filled out. Her eyes brightened. She laughed when they played peekaboo beside the cot. One afternoon, the phone David had bought for Anna rang with a number she did not know. She almost let it ring out. Then something told her to pick up. "Hello," she said. A woman's voice came through, soft and careful. "Hello. Please, is this Anna?" "Yes," Anna replied, standing slower, her hand steady on the counter. "My name is Evelyn," the caller said. "I am Mark's cousin. I am calling from across the border. I have tried this number many times, but it did not connect. Today it connected. I am grateful." The room seemed to pause. The name Mark opened a door in Anna's chest that had never properly closed. She swallowed. "I am here," she said. "I am listening." "My cousin left Lagos the same day he told you he was going to see family," Evelyn said. "There was an accident on the road before he reached home. A bad one. He was taken to a small hospital. He went into coma. He stayed like that for months. He did not wake up. He died quietly." Anna's hand found the edge of the counter. She held it and let her body remain still. There were no tears yet, just a deep exhale. For a long time, she had lived with a wound made worse by questions. Was he a liar? Did he choose to vanish? Did he abandon her? Those questions had pressed on her sleep, on her breath, on her spine. Now the questions were over. The pain did not vanish, but it changed shape. "I am sorry," Evelyn continued. "I saw the messages you sent to him. I saw your worry. I saw how you loved him. I knew he was serious about you. That is why I kept trying to reach this number. I wanted you to know it was not your fault. He did not leave you because he wanted to. He did not know how to return. Thank you for calling, Anna said quietly. Where is his mother? She is alive, Evelyn said. She is old now. She cries because she believes he left the world without a child to carry his name. If there is a child. There is, Anna said. She looked at Grace in her cot beside the office chair. The baby raised her hands and kicked, smiling at nothing. Her name is Grace. Evelyn began to cry softly on the line. Then there is hope, she said. Can we bring them to visit? We will do it properly. We will help with documents. We will help with transport. His mother needs to hold that child before she leaves this world. Yes, Anna said. We will make a plan. We will come. When the call ended, Anna sat down in the small office at the back of the shop. She let herself cry, not with panic, but with relief. She took out her ledger and wrote nothing for a while. She only breathed. She remembered the morning rain. She remembered the men who had called her a liar as she stood in the cold. She remembered the wet card on the floor of a restaurant and the near misses that almost sent her backward. She thought of David and John. She thought of a key in a door, of shelves being filled, of a signboard with her daughter's name. When she stepped back into the front of the shop, Mrs. Bellow looked up and read her face at once. Are you all right? She asked. I am, Anna said, and for the first time, it was completely true. I am finally all right. Weeks passed. Grace Corner opened its doors quietly and became a steady stop for the neighborhood. People came for small things and big things. A teacher bought biscuits for her class. A tailor bought thread and needles. A mechanic came for bottled water and ended up buying a bar of soap and bread when he remembered his wife's text. Mothers came for diapers and pap. Students bought noodles and eggs. The shop never had a crowd that felt like chaos, but it always had traffic that felt like movement. Money came in. Stock went out. Stock came back in. Records matched. The ledgers were clear. Anna arrived early each day. She swept. She wiped shelves. She checked expiry dates. She learned what sells faster near month end and what sells better after salary week. She knew which customers preferred credit and which ones tried to create their own prices. She remained kind, but she also grew firm. We don't owe, she told the staff. We can allow small things when someone is in trouble, but we must track them and follow up. This shop feeds us. We must protect it. David and John visited on weekends, never with a crowd, never with cameras, never with noise. They stood at the entrance, watched how the line moved, asked if the ceiling fan was working well, and if the supplier of oil was fair. They checked the ledger. They praised good work. They corrected small mistakes. They kept their support steady and quiet. On a Friday evening, near closing time, a small moment happened that Anna would never forget. It was nothing dramatic. No speech. No surprise. Just a small truth presenting itself. A woman entered with a little boy wearing a school uniform. His shoes were dusty. His shirt was untucked. He held his mother's hand and looked tired. Please, the woman said, do you have bread and milk? We have not eaten since morning. There was a time when this question would have broken Anna in two. Now it did not break her. It focused her. She nodded. Yes, we do. She took a loaf, a tin of milk, and a small pack of biscuits and placed them on the counter. She rang the items and gave a small discount without saying it out loud. The woman paid. The boy smiled at the biscuit. The mother murmured, God bless you, and let him out. Anna watched them step into the evening light. She felt steady. Not rich. Not famous. Just steady. She turned the sign to closed, locked the door, and held Grace on her hip. The child laughed, reaching for the bunch of keys. In that small laugh, Anna heard everything she had been hoping to hear since the rainy morning on the roadside. Safety, peace, and a future that did not frighten her. This story is not about luck. It is about choices. A man saw a woman in the rain and chose to stop. A brother remembered his mother and chose to give. A stranger called across a border to tell the truth and close a wound. A woman who had been judged on the street chose not to give up. Because of these choices, a baby sleeps in a clean bed, a shop opens its doors, and a family finds a path forward. Real wealth is not just numbers in an account. Real wealth is the power to make someone else stand again. It is a key handed to a person who has slept on cold floors. It is a bag of food placed in the hands of a mother who has run out of words. It is a business taught patiently, not tossed like a bone. It is help that builds dignity instead of dependence. Do not judge people by the worst moment you meet them. You do not know the road they walked before that day. You do not know the message they never received, the accident that changed everything, the card that slipped from a tiny pocket in the rain. If you do not have money to give, you can still give time. If you do not have time, you can still give respect. Respect costs nothing. It saves lives. Small acts of kindness are not small to the person receiving them. A towel in the rain. A warm plate of rice. A number to call. A second chance. Each one can be the hinge that turns a life. Now I want to hear from you. What did you learn from Anna's story? Was there a moment that touched you the most? The rainy roadside, the card on the restaurant floor, the key to the apartment, or the phone call that finally told the truth about Mark? Tell me in the comments. Your thoughts matter here. A new story is coming in a few days. It will carry the same heart, real struggle, honest choices, and a finish that restores faith in people. If this story moved you, please like the video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Turn on the notification bell. It helps this community grow and helps more people find a story that lifts them. Thank you for watching. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being part of a space where kindness is not just a word, but a plan. See you in the next story.